New Year, everyone. Juliana and I am so glad to be here with you. I was anxiously waiting to flip our calendars to 2022 this year. We're excited. It's the first Thursday of the month and the first Thursday of the year, and we're just glad that we get to spend it with you. Seeing that a lot of other people are having cold weather and snow, maybe there's some Florida people in there that could tune in and make us feel a little bit warmer than we are here in St. Louis. My name is Meredith Smith, and I'm here with DCE Juliana Schultz. And we're going to talk to you guys. We're going to dive pretty fast into this. We've got a lot to cover today. We're going to talk about what your day-to-day schedule of the gathering will look like, getting there to leaving after worship on the last day. First, we hope you guys had a happy and healthy holiday season. We want you guys to know that COVID is still at the forefront of our minds and in our planning teams. And we are still working with the city of Houston and their health officials to monitor the situation. If anything happens or we need to make any announcements, we will be doing that on the Gathering website and on our Facebook page and all of our other social media platforms. Our COVID policy hasn't changed, so if you haven't checked out the Gathering FAQs, we have a whole section of COVID-19 FAQs for you guys to check out. But Juliana, you want to dive in on this gathering schedule? I know we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and if you listen to the podcast that came out this week, you'll know that Mark and I fit a lot of information into a really short amount of time. And so we wanted to take a little bit of time in this live to sort of break out some of the key things that maybe we breezed past in the podcast that we want to make sure that you caught. So let's start with this. So earlier this week, we posted that podcast, and it kind of walks through beginning to end and some schedule pieces, things that are probably helpful for you in practically knowing how you're going to work through the gathering. For lots of you who've been to a gathering before, it's going to look in many ways kind of like what you would expect. But we do still want you to be listening to that because there are nuances, things that are different, just like we have in every city, and there's scheduling things that are different, just like we have in every city, just stuff that we want you to be aware of as you go through that. So you can go listen to that podcast anywhere you find podcasts. Links to it are on the Facebook page. We have also posted a tentative schedule on the Adult Leader Resource page, and it should be right near the top. You'll be able to see that. Now, we do reserve the right. There might be some changes. Right? That's why we still say tentative. But for the most part, this is really going to help you understand times and dates. We know lots of you are making your travel plans right now, trying to look, when do we come in? When do things get done? When can we fit in different pieces? So take a look at that schedule. It's going to walk you through kind of where things will be, generally what the times are going to be for that. That can be really helpful, especially if you've never been to a gathering before. If you've never been and you're like, what, when, why, like, yeah, okay. The schedule will help kind of give you a brief picture of what a day in the life of that gathering is going to look like. Oh, and in the podcast, we start with traveling. Meredith's going to tell us a little bit about particularly the very start of your schedule, which is going to happen in that transportation. Well, from our perspective, from transportation from airports to wherever you're staying.
Yep. So we've heard of a number of people asking on the Facebook group. So we decided we're going to start right with this topic about those groups that are deciding to fly to Houston. You're going to need a way to get from the airport, either Bush or Hobby, either one is fine, to GRB or the Gathering Complex for registration. So tentatively scheduled, if you're looking at the schedule, you'll see we do have an early registration on the afternoon before the gathering starts. So if you're doing that, the shuttles will still get you there wherever you need to go. If you're flying, there's going to be we've contracted with a shuttle team. You guys will be able to sign up with your group, sign up with a link. There is 2 different costs for 2 different airports. So if you're flying from Hobby Airport, you're going to pay $25 per student round trip. If you're flying from Bush Airport, you're going to pay $40 a student round trip. Doesn't matter which airport you fly into. If that's a cost benefit analysis that you need to do, go for that. But just know that we're going to have that link for our shuttle company in the upcoming months. So that'll be posted on the Gathering website, and we'll make sure to post it in this group as well for those who are considering flying. Now, you get your kids on the bus, you get them to the hotel, you and the adult leaders or a couple of people come down to the convention center. You can, if you're there on Friday between 1 and 5 o'clock, roughly, you can come register at the convention center. But if you're not coming till Saturday, no need to worry. Registration is open all day on Saturday at the convention center. One thing I think we might need to mention, there is no public transportation. If there is public transportation from the airport, it's a little bit harder to get to. You're going to have to do a lot of stops and a lot of exchanges between the light rail and buses. So that might not be the best option. If you don't want to do the shuttle company, if you're not renting a van or renting a bus in Houston, the other option is to do some ride sharing. Maybe if you have a smaller group and can do Ubers or Lyfts. I know one year I heard of an adult leader who found out that it was cheaper to rent a limo for their youth versus take a bus or take a train. So you never know, limos might be an option for your group traveling from the airport. Take a look at that, take a look at all your options. Yes, Juliana.
Okay, Meredith, just as a Houstonian,
yes,
help me understand. I've only ever lived in cities that had the one airport. You apparently have two in Houston,
yes.
right? Is there a difference in the airports? Like
Yes.
which one is closer to
Yes.
the downtown?
So either one is going to be about the same distance to downtown lengthwise. Hobby Airport is about 25 minutes from downtown and Bush Intercontinental is about 30 minutes. So there's not really a big time difference. The only big difference is the airlines. If you are flying Southwest, you will 95% be out of Hobby Airport. Any other airline, you can go to Bush Intercontinental Airport. If that matters to you, if you are a loyal Southwest person or a loyal Delta person, that will decide what airport you want to go to. If you're open to that, you can go to either one of them. They're just about the same distance. Even with traffic, they're probably about the same distance. That was a good question. I forgot to mention that for you guys.
Because it throws me off, right? And you're like, wait, which one is which and where does it go? And we talk about it a little in the podcast, kind of like the things that you might find that are a little different between those different ones. Because I'm not used to being, Houston's a huge city.
Yes.
And they figure that out. And so as you're kind of looking through things and being like, oh, it's in Houston, you kind of have to pay attention to like,
right.
Where in Houston is that thing, right? So I'm sorry, I interrupted because you were getting ready to talk about registration, or was that?
Oh, no, that's fine. I do see a couple of questions about shuttling, and I know that we've got our registrars helping us out. You guys will do that through all of their links. You don't have to call us. They will have it all set up. It will just be posted on our website for you guys to go in, and you can put in your time of like when your flight is. So we're kind of monitoring that as well. And they will help you guys. They will make sure you guys get downtown to your hotels and to the convention center.
Yeah.
After you've traveled, you might be ready to go back home, but you've just started the gathering. So we're going to register.
We got you here.
Yes. So you're going to registration. When you walk into the convention center, there will be one of two lanes that you will get sent to. If you have paid your registration in full, you will get sent to the express line. That just means you have to skip one of the counters for paying. If you have not paid in full, they will send you to the regular registration line and you will complete your payment. So make sure that you've brought your payment with you when you come to the gathering, if you have not paid. It doesn't matter to us if you pay in full beforehand or if you pay when you get there. Do what works best for your congregation. One note that we'd like to just tell you guys about registration, it's a lot going on in a smaller space. So we encourage you to bring help to carry the items that you will receive at registration, like the backpacks, Bibles, guidebooks, etc. But we don't want you to bring your whole entire group. It gets a little crazy when you've got a lot of youth groups together and adults trying to get business done. So if you can just handpick a couple of people to help you carry things, that'll help our registration process go a little bit more smooth. But like we said, registration will be there all day Saturday. If something happens with your flight or it gets delayed or you're just not going to make it in time, we will have a special thing set up at the stadium, but that is kind of a case-by-case basis. So if we're trying to encourage you guys to get there before 6 o'clock, get downtown and get registered before then. But if something happens, we know the airlines are kind of crazy right now. You'll just want to let us know by calling either the helpline, texting the helpline, and you guys will have all that information beforehand.
Yeah. And so I definitely want to double down on the encourage. Don't bring your whole group down for registration. This is not an individual thing. You're going to register as a group and do it as one, primary adult leader, and then, maybe two other people if you have a really big group and you need some help carrying it. Also, like, look on the Facebook group. Some adult leaders have like real strategy around like getting all of their registration stuff all by themselves, ways to handle backpacks and all of that. So that's one of those cool things you're going to find on the Facebook group, some suggestions there. Make sure though that you leave yourself enough time not just to get registered, but to make sure that you make it to adult leader orientation. So adult leader orientation is going to be kind of relatively in the close by, and there'll be two tracks. We've done this the last couple of gatherings. The first track is going to be for those of you who have done this before, pros. This is your 75th gathering or whatever, not that many, but like you've done this. And that track is really going to highlight just the specific things that you're going to need to know about this event, things that are particular to Houston, particular to the programming, things that we need you to know and orientate you to what's going to happen over the next few days. So don't skip that just because you've done this before. It should be really short. It's easy to get to. You're going to do them over and over and over again. So orientation, if you haven't been before or you just want to refresh, it's been a little while, we have a longer orientation that'll happen as well. And that orientation will walk all the way through the event, make sure you have all of your details, make sure you know exactly what you're talking about, including the stuff that we're going to talk about in the Stevie orientation. So you can opt to do either one of them. Those are going to happen all throughout registration, but make sure that you don't just go, okay, I'm just going to register, run in and leave, right? Give yourself enough time to go down, get registered, and go through orientation before we start. So I can already see people, travel-friendly wagon, that's a new one.
Yeah.
Make like the clip holders that help you hold all your bags from the store in, like those kinds of things. I've seen those before.
I've seen the like the shower pole that you just hook them up, you have two people and carry it. That was an interesting one to see.
Right. Right. I mean, if you are a one trip grocery bag person, you have figured some of this out already. It's going to be kind of the same system, right? But it's going to be backpacks and they're a little bulkier, and right. But yeah, this is one of those times where think about this ahead of time with your adult leaders, right? Okay, we're going to have this space of time where we're going to need to peel off a couple of adult leaders to do registration and orientation. What are we going to have everybody else do? What do we want that time to be? And if you can be a little bit strategic about that, it can be a really great thing, and nobody has to be super stressed about it, right? So doors open. I know you're all dying to. Doors open 7 p.m. first day on Saturday, and we're all super stoked. It's when the thing really starts, and so we're excited that first night is just a mass event. Not just, it's a mass event. It's amazing. You're going to want to be there. It's going to be awesome. But that's the only programming piece is the mass event that evening. And then the next morning and the following 3 days are going to look pretty similar. So you're going to see it on the schedule, or even kind of combined together, because they function. The day schedule looks like pretty much the same every time. So you're going to have your morning is going to start somewhere, or the morning program is going to start around 10 a.m. All right. And at 10 a.m., a few things are going to happen. The first thing is, if you are assigned to a 10 a.m. Bible study, those Bible studies will happen, right? We will have 10 a.m. sessions that will start. But we also have Bible studies and sessions at noon, and you may be assigned to a Bible study or at noon, right? The sessions and the Bible studies at 10 and at noon are going to be the same, right? So whether you're assigned to a 10 a.m. Bible study or a 12 Bible study, right, you're going to be able to go to the sessions that are at the same time at either time. Does that make sense? Right? So you'll either start with a Bible study and then go to sessions, or you'll start with sessions and go to Bible study. Those will be the same. Also, we'll be opening the floor, right? So the Interactive Center will be open for all of the educational interaction pieces and the recreation and
yeah.
and exhibits and
on-site service, etc.
Pretty, yeah. So 10 a.m. You're gonna have shuttles. If you're out at the gallery, the shuttles are gonna start bringing you around. And if you are downtown, right? Okay, sorry, I'm looking at my notes, making sure I say this right.
Gallery, yeah, Juliana, I'm going to step in really quick and say it is the doors to mass events on Saturday, the first day, do open at 7:30 with a mass event starting at 8:30. I think you might have mentioned 7, but it is 7:30.
Did I say it wrong? I'm sorry, people. I said it wrong.
It's fine. It is 7:30 though.
What am I doing?
No worries. We're just really excited. We're just really excited to get into mass events.
No, so I'm so excited. I'm still like deliriously coming off of Christmas vacation. I'm telling you,
yes.
folks.
And I did see one more question as we're talking about hotels. If you're getting to your hotel early from registration, let's say you have a morning flight, do not expect to check into your hotel early. Expect about 3 p.m., which is about a normal time for hotels if you have traveled recently. However, we've worked really closely with the hotels, and a lot of them do offer a space for you to leave your luggage. So you can go check in, but don't expect to get into your actual rooms until after 3 o'clock. But they are more than happy to accommodate your luggage in either one of their meeting spaces, or they usually have a room. So no need to worry about that. We'll keep talking.
Yeah,
I'll keep going. I'll go from that.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, but I think everybody's been corrected. So, Meredith, open at when?
7:30. Doors open at 7:30. Mass event starts at 8:30.
There you go. That's Meredith knows all the right answers. I'm just here for comedic relief. The other question I did see that actually is perfect, so I'm going to answer it right now, which is how far away are all the hotels from the mass event? Almost the same distance they are from the convention center, right? Just in case anyone's curious, if you've been to a gathering before, usually the convention center and where we host our mass events, the stadium, is a mile away, is walkable, but still a length, a decent amount of walking in between those two. Not the case in Houston, because the stadium is right there. It's like right there.
Yes.
We're going to say in the morning, if you are in a downtown hotel, that's great. It's walkable, it's easy. But walkable could be 20 or 25 minutes. And then the convention center is very big. So it might be another 10 minutes from the time you enter the convention center to the time you actually get to where you need to go, right? So don't think that we can roll out of bed at 9:30 and still make it to a 10 o'clock Bible study. So do make sure to allot yourself enough time to get your group together to walk, because downtown hotels could be a bit of a walk to the convention center, but Minute Maid is just like right around the corner from the convention.
You can see it if you're looking outside of the convention center. You can look to your right, and there it is. It's also good to note that if you're staying at a Galleria and you're in one of those shuttling properties, you still have to be on time. The shuttle will not come and pick you up at each individual hotel. There will likely be stops that you need to walk to. So you'll still have a little bit of walking, a little bit of travel to do to get to your spot, depending on where your hotel is, but you won't have as much of a walk, as they will drop you off in the front of the convention center. So no need to worry about that, but you do need to make sure you're planning your time accordingly, your traveling time accordingly.
Yeah, so 10 a.m., you're going to be assigned a Bible study, either 10 a.m. or noon, based on your hotel. We'll get you that information in the spring, right? So you're not going to know it yet, but once you have your hotel, we'll also tell you, assign your Bible study, you'll have that. And then from 10 to 6, you have all sorts of things. You have sessions, you have Bible studies, you have family lunch, you have interactive center, there's on-site sermon events, there's all the programming things that you're going to see, and you're going to hear us talk about those as we lead up to the gathering. They're all going to be on the app. It's going to be great. You're going to have so much to do. And then the gathering complex is going to close at 6 p.m. in order to give everybody time to eat dinner before we head to Minute Maid Park for the mass event. And so that's a great time to grab dinner. We are still working on, you can expect to hear more about the comprehensive a food plan. It's amazing. There's going to be so many food options. We're really stoked about that, but we'll give you that information further in when we get closer and those things get settled. We don't want to give you information now because it's still in motion, right, as we set those things up. But you'll hear more about food options that we're going to make available. And then we're going to, that's also a great time to do some community group time, some time to kind of debrief what's happened during the day as you get ready to head into Minute Maid Park. And as we said, Meredith, how close are these? They're so close.
It's like 2 blocks. Still pack your good walking shoes, but it's like 2 blocks. So you don't have to work. You don't have to rush from dinner and be like, okay, we can't go here because it's too far away. You've got a little bit of time, especially if we're doing any part of our comprehensive food plan. You might want to look at those options as you go in. But keep in mind, don't push it to the last minute for 5 minutes, because there will be lines to get into Minute Maid Park. Everybody will have to go through security, just kind of like a normal stadium. One thing that we do want you guys to know about Minute Maid Park, since we're talking about Minute Maid Park, as of late, you've probably noticed in your own hometowns and their venues, a lot of places are becoming cashless venues. So if you are thinking about getting snacks and I just want to eat in the stadium, you need to make sure that you either have your youth have a debit or credit card. This is a great opportunity to utilize what LCEF, we mentioned that very briefly in an email last month. They are offering to set up your debit cards for you. We'll put that link in the chat for you guys to look at, but keep that in mind if you are banking on eating at Minute Maid Park. It is a cashless venue. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more places in the upcoming months that decide to switch to that. Just keep that in mind if you're going out or planning to go out to dinner places. I know the last time we were in Houston, there was a lot of places that were like, we want exact change if you're going to pay cash, or we want debit or credit cards. So luckily, LCF has been a fantastic partner in giving us this opportunity. I have nothing but positive things to say about the LCF debit cards. So if you have not taken a look at that, they have their contact information. We've got it on the Gathering website that you could contact them and they can answer any questions you guys might have about those debit cards.
So you're going to do the mass event, and it's going to be awesome. And then after the mass event, shuttles will start taking people back to the Galleria. You can head back to your hotel. Some groups have night owls. That's when they opt to do their community group time. Some groups, that's when we're taking a snack and we're head to bed, whatever your group does at that point. So those are really your 3 days, right? And then that final day, we have worship together, which is an amazing, beautiful thing for us to be able to experience together, followed by kind of a 15-minute kind of closer to our mass event, and we're done by noon, right? So as you're thinking about flying out and what transportation is going to look like after that, just kind of be thinking through like that's kind of what this schedule is going to look like. I'm looking for questions. All right, you kind of heard us breeze really fast through the schedule. Hopefully you listen to the podcast, we go through it again, you look at the paperwork, you'll be able to catch all of this if you didn't catch it before. I'm loving the positivity for the LCF debit cards. So good. Great partners.
And Juliana, I know that we're running, like we've got like 4 minutes. This just like sped by. So I want, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat and we will do our best. We'll go over a couple more things as you guys are submitting those questions. As Juliana mentioned, we did talk about all of this and more on the podcast. If you have not listened to that episode of End Goals yet, along with all the other episodes of End Goals, please go on KFUO, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcast, and check that out. I know we've got some upcoming resources coming up. I know I've seen a lot of people just super hungry for those Bible studies, and I promise you, if you just wait a few more weeks, we will get them all to you, along with another batch of resources in February, which would include your commissioning services, your medical release forms, and again, along with those Bible studies coming out really soon.
Yeah, it's, sorry, I'm looking at questions in my script. This is how I messed it up last time. All right, focusing. Right, so we have one more resource drop we talked about. Always keep an eye on the Gathering website. We're going to put up stuff. We're always, if we put up stuff on the website, let you know on the Facebook group. So if you're paying attention there, I saw some really great questions about just general youth ministry things on the Facebook group recently, and just wanted to remind folks that we do have a resource website called Youth eSource. So youthesource.com is our resource website. We have thousands of Bible studies and articles and devotions and activities and all sorts of skits, everything that you could want there on that resource website. So if you are looking for some ideas or some Bible studies, things that could help your group, youthesource.com, great place for you to get that just for general youth ministry resources. Looking through,
I can lightning round some of these if you want. Somebody asked about shuttling from the Galleria and how frequent they are. I would plan that the shuttle, you should just plan to be in the morning and the evening. Do not plan to go back to your hotel if you're in the Galleria area during the day. That's probably the best option. That's the best way to plan around that, unless in further communication, unless we say something different. As for what Wednesday, the last day of the gathering, looks like, we will come together for worship. You will not go to the convention center. Convention center will be closed by that point. So Tuesday is your last day in there. And then we will, about lunchtime, I think noon is when we say the end of program is, that's when you guys are free to head out. So if you're looking at flights, we kind of tell people about 2 or 3 o'clock is when you should maybe look at flights if you're flying.
Somebody said, is registration the only thing happening at the convention center? No, all things are happening at the convention center. Well, sometimes you'll hear us talk about the gathering complex, because we do have things that are happening in the convention center as well as the hotels that are attached. And so we're talking about that as the gathering complex. But every time we talk about that, we are talking about the George R. Brown Convention Center, and that is where you're going to have Bible studies and the interactive center floor and all sorts of things, right? So that's where you're going to be the bulk of the time during your day, if that makes sense to folks. Meredith, what am I missing?
Shuttles from the airport, again, that will be before the gathering starts, the day before, and the day like the gathering ends. I can't speak to days prior if you're looking to extend either on the front or back end, but it's worth looking at when we get that link online to see what those options are for you.
I saw a question about what we'll go through security. Man, we'll let you know, right? Like there's a lot of these details, things like Mass Event Plus and how many we'll have of those. Again, there's a reason it's a tentative schedule at this point. Like there's still a ton of things that we are finalizing. And one of the things that we try and do as much as we try and communicate with you is we don't want to communicate something to you and then change again and change again. So while there's lots of things in process right now that we would love to tell you about, right, a lot of this is stuff that we're still in process with. And as soon as we know stuff, we're going to let you know, but we have to wait until stuff is finalized. So we appreciate your patience. You're asking all the right questions, but a lot of the time as we approach this, you're asking the right questions, but we just don't have exactly the precise answer for you yet. We're going to make sure that you keep asking us, and we will let you know as soon as we can on speakers, on all sorts of things like that. What you're going to need to worry about security in the mass events, shuttles, specific shuttle information, that kind of thing. We just want you to be able to, at this point, make sure you have it in your budget. You kind of know what the options are going to be. All right, Meredith, are we missing anything else?
A lot of this stuff is going to be answered in the podcast if you watch it again. Again, we're going to be posting more information. So there's some like Juliana was saying, there's some specific stuff that we don't want to quite tell you yet because we don't want to have to change it later on. And we'll just keep you guys updated on the website and both social media. Just a few reminders as we kind of wrap up our time together. We are going to start the housing process in the next couple weeks, which is really exciting for us in our office. So if you still have those youth that are like, I don't know, I'm not sure, encourage them to make a decision. If you're adding like 6 and 7 youth, that will affect your housing. 1 or 2 might not affect your housing, but we are going to start those assignments here in the next couple of weeks. And make sure that you have the date for the rate increase, which is March 1st. Make sure you have it on your calendar. If you would like to not pay the extra money to get your youth, surely they are welcome after March 1st. But May 31st is that last day for substitutions and cancellations. Just if you're marking important dates in your gathering calendar, make sure those are on there. As always, you can ask questions to your district coordinators or go ahead and post them in the Youth Ministry Facebook group where lots of experienced adults, your district coordinators, we're all in there to help you guys with your questions and kind of point you in the right direction. I can positively say that 2022 is going to be a very exciting year for all of us. We are excited to finally get together with you guys and worship and just dive into scripture, especially dive into Colossians this year. We are continuing to pray for you and your youth as you guys continue to plan and get ready to join us in Houston. We will be back next month in just a few weeks to talk more about the gathering planning process. And we look forward to seeing you guys online.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here.